The top 10 worst games of all time. A lot of bad games have been released, but what are the worst ones according to Metacritic? It's time to find out. You can make a little guess on what's gonna be the worst one. Big Rigs Over the Road Racing. Anthem. Sword and Shield. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Number 10.
Just kidding.
Infestation
Where am
Survivor.
I? Infestation Survivor
Starting off
Stories.
strong with the very highest score on this list, we've got Infestation Survivor Stories, and to call this game's development dramatic would be an understatement. The 2012 open world zombie game was originally known as the War
Bro,
Z,
this looks fire.
riddled with controversies, including—
Dude, this looks fire. What do you mean?
Its executive producer calling players a homophobic slur, losing its trademark over similar—
What? The executive producer called the players a homophobic slur. That's crazy. Listen, on this channel, we are all about representing and respecting the LGBTQ community, okay? Plus community.
World War Z, trying to get customers
That's disgusting.
to buy from their website instead of Steam by raising the price on Valve's storefront. Accusations of fraud due to missing key features. That same producer—
Are you kidding me? These animations look so good.
Misread the description
Callywood?
and the game being temporarily pulled from Steam. It was also criticized for being riddled with microtransactions, players were being banned left, right, and center, and there were even accusations that devs were bullying and bribing players critical of the game. As for the actual—
Bribing? Imagine seeing a forum post. Someone posts on Reddit about how your game sucks and you slip in their DMs. They're like, yo, I'll give you 20 if you delete that post, brother.
game, Eurogamer called it
The hell's all this?
a real disaster. From the development ethical dilemmas to the game-breaking bugs and insidious microtransactions, this one launched as a top-to-bottom mess. And let me reiterate, this game
I think
has
that
the
was a
highest
great
rating
video
of
game.
any on this list. So yeah, buckle in. Number 9, Alone in the Dark Illumination.
Wait, Alone in the Dark? I've heard of this
19%.
series before.
In 2015, PC exclusive Alone in the Dark Illumination came out, and maybe it should not have. The survival horror game holds a Metacritic rating of 19, and one outlet
Doesn't look that
said they
bad.
couldn't believe that, quote, such an offensively awful game was ever released. The
I bet the IGN review of this game was like, this is the worst game of all time. It is disgusting abuse and embarrassment to the horror franchise. 7 out of 10.
While Alone in the Dark may have set the stage for one of the greatest horror franchises of all time in Resident Evil, but unfortunately Illumination is better left in the dark and completely ignored. Alone in the Dark Illumination comes to the table with some interesting ideas,
Wait,
but
did he just come
unfortunately,
through the
it can't
frickin'
deliver
wall?
on any of them. Critics called the game derivative, boring, ugly, and a complete and utter disaster. Most players were put off
Okay,
by
calling
the
it disaster
reviews,
is
and the rest
one thing.
made clear for the
Boring,
sheer
though?
fact that this game
looks
drags
so
the
fun.
good name of Alone in the Dark through the mud. The graphics are bad, the gameplay is bad, it's
The graphics aren't bad. I mean, you can't even tell if the graphics are bad. Everything's so dark that you can't see the graphics
simply
anyway.
a game that shouldn't have been made. Number 8, Spogs Racing.
What racing? I'm sorry, Spogs sounds like a slur.
18%. If you're sitting
It
at
sounds
home
like, I feel like I shouldn't have even said it.
at this point
That
thinking,
sounds
Jessica, what on
like
earth
a
are
word
these
that nobody
video
should be
games?
saying.
Do remember there's probably a really good reason you haven't heard of all of them. Dismissed as Wii shovelware by IGN, Spogs Racing was a racing game, go figure, released as a WiiWare title in 2008.
What is this?
Now, if you don't know what WiiWare is, it was basically a service that let Wii users download apps and games specifically made for the console. Let's just say they weren't all winners. The problem with Spogs Racing, apart from the fact that it has a name that's absolutely impossible to take seriously, was
I agree,
ugly
to be honest.
visuals, woeful racing AI, and straight up broken gameplay. Also, Spogs
What the hell is this supposed to be? It looks like you're racing like a tire with a cigarette coming out the back of it.
for sports
What is going
player
on?
object gyros, if that's something you need to know before you can move on with your day. In a market where racing games are absolutely not hard to come by, there is no reason to waste your time with this one. Number 7, Double Dragon 2, Wonder of the Dragons. 17%.
No, dude,
Bumping
Double Dragon
down
was
another
good, wasn't
percentage
it?
point for
Wow.
This one, we've got
Oh,
Double
no.
Dragon 2, Wonder of
That
the
is
Dragons
so ugly.
for the Xbox 360. This is a side-scrolling beat-em-up from another massive name brand franchise, so while it would seem like this should have been a slam dunk, it really wasn't. Now, this entry is the remake of the original Double Dragon 2, and it's pretty much just
I thought people liked
practically
Double
awful
Dragon
in
2
every way.
a lot.
Critics slammed the game, calling it boring, uninspired, glitchy, unfinished, shockingly awful, and one outlet even called it one of the worst live arcade titles ever released.
Dude, are they just beating up the same 3 guys? That's the same person. That is literally the same person, just copied and pasted 3 times on the screen.
Just go back and play the original Double Dragon 2 and not the remake if you're feeling nostalgic, and you'll be good to go. Number 6, Vroom in the Night Sky, 17%.
That sounds like that's a cute name.
I'm hesitant to come at indie games for being bad, just because they don't have the budgets of larger studios, but unfortunately, there's no getting away from the truth that some of them just aren't very good. And for this particular game,
how dare you say that about my favorite indie studio, the Vroom in the Night Sky.
Above 17. As whimsical as this one
17?
sounds from the
Oh,
outset,
no.
the 2017 Switch launch title was unfortunately
Oh,
hot garbage.
no.
The game asks you to embody its motorbike riding protagonist, magical girl Luna. It sort of looks like...
Why is she riding a motorbike when she clearly has a vroom? Oh! Instead of broom because she's a witch, it's vroom because she's on a motorbike. But why doesn't she just ride the broom instead? I'm pretty sure it has a higher top speed. How many horsepowers do you get in a broom, do you think?
Definitely didn't have the visuals or the gameplay mechanics to match any other 2017 release. The best critic tidbit here is
why do they have
probably
yellow
from
wheels?
Destructoid, who said, "This game has nothing to offer the world and will die lonely and forgotten." So clearly no
Oh my
punches-
god, Jesus Christ, that hurts me. I feel like someone's gonna say that about me one day.
The handling for the motorbike is impossible. The game is obviously visually and technically unfinished, and
I don't know. I mean, that boat looking pretty sexy.
Destructoid got it in one. There's nothing for you here. Go literally anywhere else. Number 5, Leisure.
See, it would have been a 9 out of 10 if you could ride the broom instead. No, Leisure Suit Larry! Come on, you don't like a little bit of misogyny in your games? Come on, what's going on?
17%. Leisure Suit Larry games aren't everybody's cup of tea, but the series certainly has its moments. Unless we're focusing on the 2009 release box office bust, then there are no moments to be found unless they're
Wait, is this a platformer?
Game looks like.
No, they didn't make Leisure Suit Larry into a platformer.
The ironically named box office bust has absolutely nothing of substance to say. There are 0 laughs to be found, and it's completely unfinished. As if that's not bad enough, the gameplay is repetitive, and Play UK even called it possibly the worst game of its generation.
Jesus Christ, that's... Oh my god! These characters! It looks like Play-Doh. It looks like an animated Pixar film from the 1990s. Early 1990s.
It was supposed to come to the Wii, but it was received so badly that those plans were scrapped. The writing is lame, the platforming is agonizing, and the camera fights you more often than not. Just about every...
Why did they make Leisure Suit Larry into a platforming game? What were they thinking?
Not to buy this game, so I don't know what more you need to do.
The review begs the reader not to buy this game? Hey, that's not very nice. Okay, developers clearly worked very hard on this.
Number 4.
It clearly took 2 people 20 minutes to make this, and they worked very hard in that 20 minutes, so please be
Yaris,
nice.
17%. If after hearing the title of this one, you're thinking, wait, isn't that a car? Why, yes. Yes, it is. This game is sort of an ad for Toyota Yaris, where you drive around in a titular car,
What am I looking
racing and
at?
shooting enemies. I am somehow
What is this?
not kidding.
It's a tentacle.
Keep going. The game is free, and that's all the
Why does it have a
nice thing I have
tentacle?
to say about it. It's really weird advertising.
Dr. Octopus got his hands on the car.
And has absolutely no redeeming qualities. The graphics are crappy, controls are unresponsive, the gameplay is weirdly obtuse and difficult, and there's nothing
Why are
in here
the
that can excuse
large
the
men
weird
on
shameless
motorcycles?
marketing plug that is the game's existence. There's no reason at all
Why
to
does
check
this
this one out
exist?
unless you feel like pranking your friends, in which, go nuts, that sounds like a great idea. Number 3, Ride to Hell Retribution. 16%.
Oh, this game is so
Ride
good!
to Hell Retribution is one of the more well-known awful
Have you seen the
titles
sex
gaming
scenes in this?
history.
They're so hot.
2013 action adventure was originally announced in 2008 as an open world game before being quietly canned. After years in development hell, it did finally come out, at which point everybody discovered at the same time it was super not done baking. Among the many things critics hated about this one, we've got broken mechanics, a boring repetitive gameplay loop, unresponsive controls, awful graphics, dull writing, bad performances, pretty offensive dialogue
Dude, look, it's so
choices,
hot.
really awkward sex scenes, and a whole
No,
bucket of
awkward? What do you mean awkward? Here, let me show you something. This is super hot. Look at this. Look at him go. What is this? Okay, I gotta stop before I get demonetized. Oh my god,
Basically,
dude.
If you can imagine something that could be wrong with a game, there's a good chance this
classic.
one has it. It's like the anti-perfect game. Every single thing it sets out to do, it completely fails at. The game appears to be stapled together with no design philosophy, and it was called everything from an offensive abomination of a game in Hardcore Gamers Review to explosively apocalyptically bad by Yahtzee from The Escapist. I know
That's
you're
an awesome way to
curious,
describe a
just
video
don't do it
game.
to yourself. Trust us. Number 2, Family Party. 30 Great Games Obstacle Arcade. 11.
I mean, this can't be bad. It clearly says in the title there are 30 great games. In fact, not just one great game, but 30 of them. So how can this be low rated? I don't understand.
This game may not have taken the top spot on our list, but I think we can all agree it wins the award for clunkiest title. Seriously, how did a whole room full of people decide to go with this 7-word abomination? Family Party arrived on the Wii U in 2012.
Look at the
to
characters.
No acclaim for very good reason. First up, you need to have 2 Wiimotes and 2 nunchucks to play it, and then good luck playing it because it's almost entirely broken and impossible to control even if you do have the hardware requirements. This whole game is banking on you being into
Dude, that dog! Damn! Look at him! Oh, guys, I'm sorry, but just come on. What am I supposed to take away from this? Come on, dude. I'm literally gonna get banned if I keep showing this kind of stuff. You need to stop this.
There's a great chance you aren't. It's borderline unplayable, extremely ugly, and its minigames are uninspired and uninteresting. In short, you'd be extremely disappointed if your parents brought you this one home for Christmas instead of Mario Party. Congratulations, guys, you made a party
What's
game
number one,
that's not
chat? What
fun.
is number one?
This one in the bargain bin. Number 1, Big Rigs Over the Road
Yes!
Racing.
The
8%.
best
And
game in
our
the
final spot,
world!
if you already know your infamously
Yes!
bad games, you'd have guessed it. We've got Big
That's a
Rigs
victory lap
Over the
right there.
Road Racing.
Number 1,
This is
baby.
the only game I could find with a handful of reviews that has a single-digit Metacritic score, and boy, does it
Dude,
earn
look,
it.
it's so
Much
good,
like Box
look.
Office Bust, this 2003 racing game had reviewers imploring gamers to not buy this game. Big Rigs
What do you
places on
mean?
many
This is
worst
so
game
good.
of
Look
all
at him
time
go.
lists and has been called the quote worst game ever made. The game is just stacked to the brim with bugs.
Okay.
There's next
I think
to
it's
no
a bit generous to say that this game was made. All right.
solid gameplay, the controls are agonizing, it looks atrocious, and not one feature in this game appears to have been finished before they shipped it. If we had
The best thing about Big Rigs Over the Road Racing is if you just hold down the reverse button, you get to infinite speed and exit the multiverse. It's great. Anyway, what's your least favorite game in the world? Make sure you subscribe to more patterrz because we're almost at 100,000 subscribers. We're very close. Also, I'm a cutie patootie, don't you think? Don't you think I look hot? Anyway, thanks, bye.